welcome to my channel. I'm sure you're already familiar with me. This is Yuming. Welcome to my 10 minutes of sociology. And today we're going to talk about a topic that will be interesting to you all, which is the fast fashion. When you walk into H&M, you can see a lot of girls wearing beautiful clothes that they are tan and reasonably priced. And these girls basically buy 5 to 10 clothes every time they come in, twice a week maybe. Can you imagine how many clothes are in their closets? Nowadays, our life become more and more convenient and we can buy cheap clothes anywhere, and sometimes we can view and buy clothes without leaving our house. As we all know, some familiar brands such as H&M, Zara, and Forever 21 have gained popularity with their fast updates, cheap price, and a wide variety of clothing. This is the greatest pleasure that fast fashion brings to the customer, who can enjoy the design of the top brand as less than the tenth of the price of the top brands. This rise of the fast fashion may make the beginning of the modern globalization and its impact on fast fashion. While we see the beauty that fast fashion culture brings into our life, we will overlook an environmental disaster caused by the clothes industry. While we are shopping for beautiful clothes in clothing shop, thousands of women workers are being exploited in Asia. So why these women are being exploited, and why has globalization enabled the fast fashion industry to grow so quickly? The fast industry is one of the most labor-intensive industry in the world, and many fast brands turn to cheap labor, much of it in global south. The world's largest exporter of the clothing are currently in China, Vietnamese, Indonesia, and India. Next, I will show you an interview by female garment worker.
Nada de descansos, nada de break. En la costura hay mucha explotación, mucho robo de salario. Faltamos un día por nuestros hijos o agarraríamos unos 15 minutos de break o algo, porque de eso por ahora nada, pues incluso no te dan los 30 minutos para comer, nomás come cuando pues ya apurado por el patrón.
Mills argues that the rise of the clothing industry have been shaped by the globalization, consumption, labor, and that the fashion industry one of the biggest drivers of the consumption and economic growth in Western countries. To understand the exploitation of the workers, we must understand the globalized chain of the garment industry. The huge population of developing countries is a breeding ground for sweatshops, and the cheapness of the factory have become a favorite option for the fast brand in developed country, which seeking to the cheapest profit by the outsourcing production to developed country to reducing a manufacturing cost. Salary for garment workers in developed country are much lower than the average salary of garment workers in developed country, and the reason behind it is the bloody and tears of workers in Southeast Asia. According to Board and Trophy data in 2020, women workers make up 80% of the garment industry workforce, with over 35 million women from Asia and Pacific working in garment factory. In fact, the working conditions of these workers often violate labor laws. According to an 2019 Oxford study, 100 of Indonesia workers and 99% of the Vietnamese workers less than their living wage salary. Crandall and Parnell describe how the race to bottom was created in garment industry. So what is the race to the bottom, which can be seen as a race? Firstly, clothing brands want more customers buy their clothes, so the fast fashion company like H&M create 52 micro seasons a year, which create a huge demand for the clothes. And each year, founders need to make around 33 million tons of clothes. And in order to achieve this, workers in this factory are forced to work overtime. The origin of this supply chain, when these multinational companies looking for the supply for their order, some companies trying to survive in an unsustainable economic environment must selling the product at a lower unit cost, even though their profits are already very low. When the supply gets the orders, they choose to lower the salary of their workers, make themselves profitable. while the workers have no choice, because in some developed country, if you not accept the overtime and low pay, you may not able to afford your next meal. In addition to the operations in factories, the environmental pollution caused by the garment industry have also become a problem for developing countries. Here is a video about garment waste. Let's watch it together.
Lamentablemente hemos transformado nuestra ciudad y nuestra región y nuestro país en el basurero del mundo.
This is a shocking image. This is clearly that this is not, but we ignore it. It doesn't exist problem. Fast fashion have major impact on environment, accounting for around 10% of the global carbon emissions. Another example of the huge damage caused by the environmental pollution is jeans. According to the Qantas Environmental 2018 report, the huge waste of the water in the clothes industry is also something we cannot ignore. The fashion industry is the second largest water user, requiring 700 gallons of water to produce a cotton shirt, or 2,000 gallons of the water to press a pair of jeans. Textile dyeing is the second largest source of water pollution in the world, as the water produced during the dyeing process is often discharged into the ditch, stream, or river. In Guangdong, China, a place called Jeans City, which sounds romantic and fashionable, 30% of the water jeans come from Guangzhou, where the river water have become blue-black and the strange smell in the dark water. A resident of this area said, "It's definitely from that factory. There is no other place can make such disgusting water. I used to able to swim here, but now I can't." Of course, fast fashion companies have been asked of being involved main destroyer of the environmental and labor rights. In the face of growing public concern of the sustainability and social responsibility, some fast fashion brands are trying to hide their negative impact and avoid social responsibility by using greenwash technique. This is known as greenwashing, where the marketing are used to make companies appear better in terms of environmental and social responsibility without actually making any real change. For example, false promise. Companies claim that they are taking steps to improve supply chain and production process, but in reality, the promises are often just slogans with no real action. They also relate to our previous comment about race to bottom. When a company has too much demand for the clothing, some of the larger garment factories may take these orders. However, they are unable to fulfill this number, so they are divide some of the orders between the smaller factories. Therefore, although some brands may claim that their founders are free from the environmental pollution, these smaller factories are out of the control for the fast fashion brand and may have more serious problems. So, after you heard that, you must have a question. Why do the people in developing countries have to put up with such dirty conditions? Why is the treatment of female workers so long overdue? Behind this is problem of power and colonization in developed world. In pursuit of the economic interest, developed countries often sacrifice the environment of the developing countries. They locate some of their more pollution factors in the place like Vietnamese, India, Indonesia, China, as we introduced before, where they have a large number of the cheap labors and low cost. The developed countries enjoy the huge profits from the cheap labor while cleaning up their hands. Although the colonization have ended, its effects remain. Developed countries use their economic and political power to transfer pollution and the environmental damage to develop countries in order to maintain their own economic and interest. So this is all for today. Thank you for listening. I hope that today's video will make you think about how much clothing we really need to buy and how we can escape from the trap of the consumerism. Thank you!